just keep focusing on it, because when you just focus on the bad things, that's all you're gonna ever see in life, especially towards yourself. And everyone has like that inner thought in their head that are always telling them the most negative things ever. But after a while, you got to stop listening to that voice, because would you rather have that inner negative voice control you, or have your more positive self come out?
Hi friends, today with Zani. She's a member of our Avanti community, and I'm so excited to hear what you have to say about really personal expression and everything. So before I ask any questions, let's start by hearing a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Zani Navaitwa. Yeah, I've gone to your guys' piercing shop a lot to get a lot of my jewelry, and you guys helped me like replace my inverse labyrinth, which was really cool because it meant a lot. Because I have like a very specific type that I like, so you guys had like the best collection that I wanted to get.
Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah.
So it looks like you have that pierced. You also have your tongue pierced, your septum. Any ears or anything?
I did have gauges, but I accidentally ripped out one of my gauges, and I haven't re-pierced that ear.
Oh, ow!
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've had gauges in.
What was your first piercing?
My very first piercing was my septum, and it was because I originally wanted to get snake bites, but my uncle was just like, no, I will not have that. That is horrible, like, and everything. And I was like, well, you know what? F it. Like, I'm gonna get whatever piercing. But then when I went into the piercing shop, I was just like, oh, maybe I really don't want snake bites there. And so I ended up just getting my septum, but it was like the horseshoe type, which is easy for certain job interviews, or if your work doesn't allow piercings, you can easily just flip it up. And I was like, you know what? That's actually really smart and conventional. And I remember I came home and my aunt was like, oh, that's super cool. My uncle was just like, like he had nothing to say, but later he realized he was actually glad I chose that one because it's so easy to hide if I need to, but also he just ended up coming around and liked it. So that was really fun.
He just accepted you for you.
Yeah, he just accepted it for me because he knows like I'm very like stubborn person. I'm just, if I really want to express myself in like a certain way and like do something like that, then he already knows I'm just going to go ahead and do it and ask later, even though I've already am in like the process of doing it.
Do and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
What was your most painful piercing?
Honestly, it would have to be, long time ago got my nipples pierced. That and doing them at the same time, because I'm all about symmetry. So it's like, that would be weird if I only got one. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just do both. That's totally fine. And you can't fool your body twice, I've realized. So that was like very painful. The healing process was like even just like barely a bump. I was just like, oh my God, no, that was horrible. Yeah, so that was honestly my like most painful, because otherwise all my other piercings have always felt like just like a hard pinch. And obviously with your tongue piercing, since they, you know, do it like right in between the two muscles, like all you do is salivate, so it's like you just drool and you really feel nothing. And I feel like that was like super crazy for me to learn. When I got my tongue pierced, I was like, oh, all I did was drool. I literally felt nothing.
That's awesome. My tongue piercing experience was different. I have both sides. So
okay.
Anything, it was like right there. And I was freaking out. I'm like, this is not a fun time.
Dude, I bet. Especially like after you get your tongue, anything like mouth-wise, you get it pierced and then you try and eat is like the worst. Especially after getting a tongue piercing and you get food stuck under it and you're like, no, why?
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't realize really what twice the swelling really meant.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Why they gave me that such long bar, and I was like, oh, that's kind of seems useless. But then when it like swells up, you're like, oh God, I'm glad now I have that, because that would be very painful.
At first you're like, I can't fit my tongue in my mouth because this bar is so big, and then your tongue falls and you're like, now I can't fit my tongue in my mouth because my tongue is gigantic.
Yeah. And then what sucks is like the healing process goes through, the swelling goes down, and then you're like, crap, now I have this like long bar in my mouth. And then you have to come back in and like at least like hopefully you get like the right size bar.
Yeah, it can be like I downsized my bar when we first all went into quarantine here in Oregon. So that was like 2 months ago. And
no.
I know. Well, I downsized it, but now I've noticed that with tongues, one thing that, even though working here, like I didn't really anticipate, is that you might have to downsize more than once.
Yeah.
And you might have to downsize if you pierce your tongue twice at different levels. Like one side of my tongue was swollen and the other side of my tongue wasn't swollen. And it's just, bodies are interesting.
My inverse, like having it so long because of my lips swelling, and then it went down, and then I kept accidentally biting on it, and I was like, I don't want to chip a tooth, and so I had to go down like 2 times, and because of how thick my lip is, they were just like, yeah, let's not go any like smaller because then it's just be digging into your skin. But then it's still like, my uncle calls it a little what is it called? It's like for golfing when you put the golf ball on top.
Golf tee?
Yeah, that's what he calls it when I smile, because it just like sticks up. So he calls it my golf tee.
That's so funny. I had the same exact piercing, and my lips are thin, and so I went as small as you could go, and it would still stick out, and I would call it my rhino horn.
Oh, I love that.
Stick out. But it was always dramatic, and it would get stuck on straws.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice would you give to someone before they get a piercing?
The advice that I would give is really consider it. I know sometimes it's fun to just do it in the moment, but then later you might have regrets, or you're just like, maybe I didn't really think this through and this was really a piercing I wanted. So, and just think about where you want to get it first, because there are certain areas where it's like more sensitive. Like I've heard sometimes like the ears are more sensitive. Obviously nipples can be pretty sensitive, and my nipple piercings were like my second piercing that I'd ever gotten, so for me that was like intense. But also like, again, like everybody's pain tolerance is totally different too. But I see my main advice would be just like really plan out what type of piercing you want, and if you think that's really right for you. Because sometimes some people will get a piercing and it's just like doesn't really go with their personality, I guess, or go with like how they are as a person. So I feel like choose a piercing that speaks most to you also. That's
a really good advice. You know,
yeah.
I think any form of modification is like a way to let your inside shine out.
Exactly.
And if you don't listen to that inner voice and you listen to external voices, or, you know, to people who have an external opinion of you that might not match up with who you really are, then you just end up feeling it's on your face. So you look in the mirror and you're not going to see who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that goes the same as like whenever you get tattoos also. Like that's another form of your own expression, that tattoos can either tell a story or just show off more of your personality too. And so even clothing is like that. So I feel like when you really express yourself, those things tend to really shine with your personality and really make you who you are. And that's why for me, I've always been about just, I wear whatever I want, because if it makes me feel good, I feel like that's all that matters. And if that's the same as piercings and tattoos, it's just as long as it makes me feel good, then I don't really care about what others think, because I'm expressing myself in the best way to make me feel good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Was that something that took you a while to learn, or did you kind of just feel that way entering into piercing and tattoos?
I feel like it took me a while, because growing up, I was always about, trying to go with the trend, wear whatever the popular girls are wearing, just trying to fit in. And I feel like after a while, it's just like, F it. Like, I'm just going to do whatever fits me. And I went through like weird stages where I just wore a lot of boys' clothes, and I was just like, because I'm like at heart a tomboy. So it took me a long time to finally get into like, you know what, certain girly things actually make me feel nice. Like dresses are nice and things like that. And then when it finally came time for like piercings and such, I really was like, I've always seen the girls like with the snake bites, and that's what originally wanted me to do it. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't think that would, like I said, would be me. And I felt like a septum was just so simple and so nice, and it just was like, you know what? Yeah, that's like, I feel like that's what I really want, because it's just what I'm always thinking about now. And so with just expressing myself, like now it's like I don't really care about trying to go with trends. So when people see me with certain tattoos or piercings that are now considered trendy, it's like I'm not doing it because of that. I'm doing it, I did this like a long time ago, so like
stop copying me.
yeah, exactly. I did these things like a long time ago because that's what felt right to me, not because I want to seem popular or follow the in crowd or anything. And I feel like I've always been the type of person who was never a follower, even though as much as I tried, I knew it felt wrong to me. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm like my own person. I follow my own path and things like that.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I can relate to it too. You know, I think piercing and tattoos helped me find myself. Like, you know, it was like trying on different masks. And when you make something that's a permanent or a semi-permanent change, it's like no longer a mask. It's like, okay,
yeah,
it's actually like great. Like, I'm now me.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. What advice would you give to someone who is nervous to make that change for themselves?
I say just, you only have one life if you think about it, and so really you just go straight forward, just go at it like head on. That's kind of what I did, because I was like, I'm just not going to spend my time like thinking about it or debating it. Like, at some point you just got to do it and just get it done and over with, because once it's like ripping off like that band-aid on like hair, which really hurts, but you're just like, oh, I did it. You know, it's kind of like that, because then afterwards you're like, okay, I feel better. Like, this is nice now. So I feel like just doing it. Just do it right away, I guess. Kind of like what Shia LaBeouf said in that meme. Just do it, you know? Like, it's going to make you feel a lot better afterwards, and you're just going to feel like a totally better person, because then you feel more of yourself, not what you want to try and act like and present to people.
That's awesome. That's really good advice too. It's a wealth of knowledge. I'm like,
yeah. I get that a lot, yeah.
You know, I know a lot of our audience is younger and newer to modification, and they have a hard time dealing with some of the negative comments that they get. What advice do you have in regards to that?
I feel like in life you're always going to hear negative things. People are always going to, you know, either body shame you or judge you by your clothing. Heck, when I was growing up, I was in foster care. We didn't have much. I was chubby, and I'd had like popular girls call me thunder thighs and such. And it really messed with my anxiety and depression. But after a while, I realized the more I let that get to me is why my mental health was getting worse. So after a while, I just quit paying attention to it, and like just was like, all right, sure, but I'm not going to keep it in my mind for that long, or just keep focusing on it, because when you just focus on the bad things, that's all you're going to ever see in life, especially towards yourself. And everyone has like that inner thought in their head that are always telling them the most negative things ever. But after a while, you got to stop listening to that voice, because would you rather have that inner negative voice control you, or have your more positive self come out? So I feel like for me, and for others, it's just try not to pay attention to the comments. Don't let that control you or your life, because your positivity and your mental health matters the most. So why should someone else's opinion matter? Even if they're a complete stranger, why would a stranger's opinion matter more than your own opinion of yourself?
Yeah, that's so true. And you know, what I've come to find is a lot of people who have those kind of like negative comments feel negative about their own selves. And
exactly.
It's like jealousy, because when, you know, they look at someone who has bright hair or is covered in beautiful art, it's like you look at that person, you're like, you found the freedom to step past that like negativity and to be yourself, and it causes jealousy and it leads to some opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just crazy. Like, some people just want to try and bring you down just because of the way how you look or you act, or just because the art on your body isn't what they find right. And I feel like that's sometimes hard with like family members who are like that, especially because I had my grandpa, who I love dearly, but he was just very conservative in certain ways that I feel like was also the confusion of me not being truly myself as a young kid because of his certain views. And if I try to act or do those things, like, I know for sure like he wouldn't have approved of it. But after a while, like I said, I just kind of quit caring of what of what they would think. And so it's either you accept me or you don't, type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really freeing mentality, because trying to live up to other people's expectations or your assumptions of what other people's expectations are is very exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like too, like I said, like how I said, I grew up in foster care, and so like people already have certain views about children who are in foster care, and also being like Native American, there's already like oh, like I've heard from like so many like people like, oh, you don't want to become a statistic, you don't want to be this or that. And I feel like why should that play into like how you think my future, like you saying that makes me think that you're already expecting my future to be like that. So that's how I also feel about when people would comment on like the way how I looked about things. So it's just like, why are you just presuming I'm gonna be a certain way or I'm this certain way just because the way how I look, type of thing too.
Yeah, there's so many pros to watching demographics and things to make sure that there's not as much oppression moving forward into the future. But I also feel like it puts a lot of people in a box, because it's like, well, statistically this is what it is, and that's not a person, that's a statistic based off of historical, cultural, sociological impacts. Like, that's nothing to do with you today.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like how in the past, like tattoos and piercings were like, would make you less. I feel like back then, when people would try and be hired or go for job interviews, people would be like, oh, well, you have piercings and tattoos, you would have to hide those, or you would be less likely to get hired. But nowadays, more jobs are accepting of people who have tattoos or piercing, colored hair, and who are even like LGBT. Like at my work, I work at a preschool, and ours are very open to anyone who's LGBT, or if you have tattoos or piercings, like it's totally allowed. Like we are never told, oh, you have to hide those from parents and such. And I feel like having jobs like that make more people who are like us, who are very vibrant about our personalities and really show it in body modifications. It really makes it feel more welcoming to work somewhere like that.
Yeah, I mean, and being a part of a more diverse group usually means that you think more creatively, and
exactly
shows a perseverance streak that a lot of jobs are looking for. They're looking for the people who are thinking outside of the box, who have had to overcome adversity, and you're not going to always find that in people who are keeping that inside by their hair, or not being their true selves. So that's what I like to see too, as we're moving forward into the future, that you can go somewhere with bright, like I had bright blue hair yesterday, bright blue hair, and it's fine, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And it's just great to see how now, like I said, like things are just becoming more diverse and just changing, and people are starting to realize like how you said, they want people who are more like creative and diverse and can bring something totally different.
Yeah, because if you have just enough people who are like the same, you're not going to grow nearly as fast as you would if you had people who are different to challenge and expand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really cool. What you mentioned, growing up in foster care. What are some, if you feel welcome to share, what are some misconceptions you think that are associated with people who grow up in the foster care system?
I feel like a lot of misconceptions is that the kids will end up being like their parents. Like my mom, the reason why my brother and I got taken away was because she was using meth, and my grandmother called DHS on her, and so that's why. But my brother and I turned out fine. We both graduated high school, which my mom never did. He didn't go to college, but I went to college for a little bit. And another misconceptions is like, especially when you're a kid in school, like how I was, a lot of teachers expect you to like either not be that smart for some reason, or you're gonna be like the bad kid. Like I had an old friend who was originally my best friend. Her mom disliked me because I came from a foster home and because I was a little bit more outgoing, and she would always tell her, oh, you're gonna get into trouble if you stay friends with her. And so she left me. And she was actually my first friend I ever made when I got taken away and moved to like a whole new city and went to a whole new school. Like she was my very first friend. And so that really hurt to know that's how her mom thought of me, and really convinced her to not be friends with me because they assumed I would do bad things in life. And if they looked at me now, I really didn't. Like I turned out really great. Yeah. I have this beautiful daughter now. And another misconception is like goes towards like foster parents. Even like I know there are some who only do it for checks, but there's a lot more who actually do it because they really care for children. Or how my foster parents got into it because one of their family members, their kids got taken away, and they could only raise their kids if they were foster parents. And so they decided to become that just to take care of them and make other kids' lives better. Because there are some children whose parents were just so bad at parenting that they didn't get the right love and nurturing, having the right environment to live in. And then they come into these foster homes where it's like the right environment, where they're treated with like real love and are taught like essential life things that their parents couldn't do. So there's actually a lot of great foster parents who do it for all the good, right reasons. And so you shouldn't always think that all the foster parents are just bad or mistreat kids, even though there are a small percentage that is like that, but majority of them aren't. So that's why my brother and I were so thankful that we got foster parents who were so loving. And even when they met my mother, like they could tell she was trying really hard and trying to change all of her ways, and she did. She got clean, and they were made sure when my mom couldn't get us back that they took guardianship of us so that we could still keep a relationship with her mom, go visit her and have her come over and see us. And they made sure that we had everything that we needed in life to make us feel happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My youngest brother is actually my cousin. We adopted him. We fostered him and then we adopted him.
Yeah.
And it being on like the foster family side, I can see how the misconceptions start, because when you go, even though like we knew his whole history and everything like that, you're still given all of this information like, oh, this and this could be wrong with them. But yeah, like it shouldn't be that way. And people get their kids taken away too for reasons that aren't always even valid, or drug or alcohol abuse related.
Exactly.
Some of it is someone just assumed they were being treated wrong, and in their state, DHS has to take the kid away in order to investigate.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Oregon now is that they finally, a couple of years ago, passed a law where siblings can't be separated. So at the time when my brother and I went to foster care, we were so thankful that we got to go to the same foster home and live there together, while some other siblings at the time would be separated. And that was, I feel like, is the most painful thing, because they've recently found studies where kids who are end up in foster care tend to do a lot better if they have the support of their siblings who are with them instead of being taken to different homes, because then when that happens, they feel more alone and they feel more trauma. And so that's why I'm glad Oregon finally passed a law to where siblings won't be separated when they go into foster care.
Which seems like such a common sense thing that should have been in place.
Yeah, like I feel like if I never had my older brother, for how traumatizing it was for me, I don't think I would have gotten like a better handle on it if he wasn't there, because he really was there. Who, like, when I had in my anxiety attacks, he would be there to calm me down. Like, he knew how to just be there for me, because since they were new, they didn't know how I like things or how to calm me down the best way. Like, so that's why it was great having my own sibling there.
Yeah, I mean, and your whole life was turned upside down. Everything you know was taken away, you know, and to take the one constant person who could be there would just be like, it's so unthinkable to me why that would be even like a law that needs to be made. I'm so glad it was passed.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was just great just having my brother there and just having him, because then you have someone there who really understands what's going on. And for me, I feel like it was a little bit more traumatizing than for him, because when we got taken away, it was actually a week before my 7th birthday. Oh, wow. So that was like even more messed up, especially when you get a letter from your mom from prison and she has to write out the happy birthday song and draw a little cake. And that was like a super hard day for me to read that. And so if I didn't have him there to help me feel better, I feel like it would have made it a more bad of a memory than what it actually is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was there for you too. That's like really cool, especially knowing what I know now about the new laws and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Before I let you enjoy the rest of what is a beautiful Oregon day with your gorgeous daughter,
oh, thank you.
Is there any last bits of advice or wisdom you'd give to anyone who's contemplating just feeling more comfortable in their own skin or is facing any challenges at home?
I feel like for like challenges at home, I feel like the best thing to have is a support group. It doesn't have to be like your own family. I found in life that my support group is honestly people who later became my family, who weren't blood related, and having true friends that really understand you for who you are. And those type of people tend to make the best support groups. And like I said, it doesn't have to be your actual family. And that's what I've come to learn. And so you shouldn't have an expectation that has to be your true like support group. And I feel like for people who are still struggling with like self-image or wanting to like go through with certain things, especially when it comes to getting a piercing or maybe a tattoo, just go at your own pace that makes you feel better. And so also, if you're really been like on the fence, I would just say F it and just go for it. Because like I said, if it really calls to you, or if you really feel strongly like, yes, that will represent me for who I am, then go for it. Because that should be the most important thing, is expressing yourself and then having your true positive personality come out. Not to let others' judgment be in the way of your happiness.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your heart. And your daughter.
I know. She happened to wake up during the call.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Hope you get to enjoy the day.
Yes, and I hope to see you.
Yeah, probably. I know for sure I might come back and try and get some new jewelry.
All right. Enjoy your day, guys.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Bye.